it would be easy to reach. And normally someone says that, you think, okay, that's just Hollywood talk. But like, if it's Harry Belafonte, and I don't think it would have been that hard for him to get in contact with Jay-Z, quite frankly.
Yeah.
So just to sideswipe him out of nowhere on a show, I think that wasn't the right approach. And I feel that he may have realized that too, because recently he's talked about he wants to sit down and have a conversation with him. I think he may have realized that he came off a little off-putting in terms of like trying to reach Jay-Z for whatever he wants him to accomplish or do.
Okay. Now, what about this proclamation that his presence is charity? Like this threw a lot of people off, because you know what it comes up as. This dude has money. He has, a largesse, and like he's feeling himself to the point where my presence is charity. He said, I don't mean to be sound arrogant or big-headed, but my presence is charity. And it's just like, what does that mean exactly?
I understood his context. Like I understood, like when he said that statement, I was just like, oh, they're gonna get you for this one. But I understood exactly what he was saying. Like, it wasn't that deep of a statement when he was just, his presence as a president is a simple summation of what he's always said in his music. He's like, I'm a hustler's pipe dream. Remember that lyric he said? I'm the hustler's hope. I'm the hustler's pipe dream. Like, considering where he started from, like actually selling drugs a few blocks away from a major stadium he's part owner of.
Right.
Like what he's basically trying to say, and said it obviously a way that most people will not get, is that what I've done with my life can show anybody that, when I say something is accomplishable, if, through effort and opportunity, taking advantage of opportunities, I'm not just saying that. It's just like an actual reflection of the life I've lived. Granted, I don't think he's saying everyone could be, worth $500 million and married to Beyonce. But he's saying, everyone faces obstacles in life, and I'm an example of how you can overcome that at some point.
I mean, I guess, but wouldn't it make sense for him to say it like that?
Sometimes people misspeak, As someone who does that quite often, I am very sympathetic to when others do so.
Okay.
I agree with Devon's point. Like, feel like he definitely misspoke.
Okay. All right. I mean, I won't judge either way. I mean, I know what it sounded like, and I know how a lot of people interpret it, but maybe he didn't intend it like that. Now, we were talking about his recent appearance on Real Time with Bill Maher, and in addition to talking about the album, The Controversy, he also talked about the American middle class, and he said the lack of a middle class is America's real problem, because they were talking about the stop and frisk policies, and he started getting deep and political. This is the most deep and political I've ever heard Jay-Z actually speak in any forum or format like that. So he touched on like the widening economic gap, and the oppression eventually will lead to a tipping point, which obviously is an indicator of something greater. Like, as he talking about anarchy, he's talking about like the people gonna rise up or whatever. Coming from Jay-Z's platform of the lack of a middle class and whatever, what are your thoughts on the statement and it coming from Jay-Z?
He's right. That's like my first thought. There is no middle class.
Yeah, he's right. Yeah.
So, like, unfortunately, that's kind of the big problem. And people who are still trying to maintain middle class, anything that's designed to help keep them there is being taken away. So I think it's just an astute observation from someone who knows money. Right. Like, a lot of people may disagree with like certain aspects about Jay-Z, but very few people disagree that he doesn't know money. And as someone who was a successful capitalist, he knows that for a stable society to work, you need a strong and vibrant middle class, and if you don't have that, it just doesn't become sustainable. I.e., interferes with his ability to make more money.
Right. You got anything, Mary?
I mean, I agree with Devon on this. There is no middle class. You're either up or you're down.
Right.
I mean, I don't want to be down, so I can only aim up. Like there's really no being middle class kind of means you're on the lower end anyway, because the middle class doesn't exist. So you're either like rising to the challenge or you're not. I mean, it sucks, but he's right. You either want to be on top or you're in the bottom.
Right.
There's no, you can't be comfortable, especially in a city like New York.
Yeah. I read an article the other day that talked about the income inequality in New York City. And it was just showing, like, you know, comparing our levels of income equality to like other countries. And the income inequality gap in New York City is comparable basically to like third world countries, essentially. Like developing economies. Yes.
Dang.
Yes.
That's depressing, bro.
It's not surprising, is it?
I mean, like, honestly, like, you know, if you're not making over 6 figures, you're not able to do a lot in the city.
Well, I mean, that's real. I heard to live.
Middle class in New York City is like $250.
Was it $250? I heard it was $150.
It's $250.
Is it $250? Wow.
If you're not making, I mean, like, if you're not even making over 6 figures as someone in their late 20s, you're not really able to do a lot.
Yeah.
So, you know, I always tell people, like, if you want to move here, you got to be making over 6.
Yeah.
And within my age bracket. It's unfortunate, but, you know, you could take that somewhere else and not have to be prison to that, but you have to be making a lot of coin.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading a story that, I mean, the trend is for people to move away from cities when, you know, gentrification is prevalent, the cost of living is higher than, you know, wages and whatnot. But New York City is unique in that endeavor because more people are moving to the city and sort of bypassing, you know, the difficulty of that, the difference between the cost of living. So it's always going to be a seller's market or a renter's market, just because people are so thirsty to live in the city and to live above the means for the most part. So I know, Navon, you were talking about how it's forcing neighborhoods to integrate more than would be traditional.
Yep.
Just because everybody's living wherever they can. So white people living here, black people living here, and the same hood, same neighborhoods, you know.
Yeah. We're one of the most segregated cities in America, minus the Bronx, which is actually pretty highly diverse. But in terms of like recent economic trends, we have a high influx of New Yorkers, as you said, and, you know, rents are high, highest in the country. Like you need to live where you can live. It's not an option anymore of just like, oh, maybe not this neighborhood because such and such. Like, who cares? Is the apartment good? Like, can I get to a train? I'm going to move there, and that's forcing neighborhoods to diversify.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, like, I know Bed-Stuy is obviously, and, you know, really Brooklyn in general, one of the most quickly gentrifying areas in the country, and I see it firsthand. You know, I know you do as well. Like, you know, like condos going for like over $2 million and stuff like that. So
did somebody buy a house in Bed-Stuy for over like $1 million or so?
Yeah, I read the article. It was $1 million, and then there was another article that says
Jesus,
there was somebody actually bought a loft for $2 million.
What?
So, yeah,
What is this loft looking at?
I don't understand it. It makes no sense. But you know, I mean, it kind of does speak to, you know, what's going on. If you got the money, you good.
I mean, like, if you don't like it, I just don't think that living in New York is that important for someone that wants to grow up.
Right.
So I get it, but like, on top of having to make that amount of money comes a lot of stress.
Right. For sure.
I think depending on what lifestyle you want to maintain, the money varies. But definitely if you want to live in Manhattan, you need 6 figures minimum.
If you want to live in Brooklyn, you need 6 figures. Let's keep it real.
It's getting there.
What are you talking about?
Yeah,
like if you're a grown man and you want to have your own space and you want to be able to like have money, you need to be making over 6 figures in your late 20s.
That's real.
If
That
you're
depends
not,
on what part of-
you're not competitive with what's going on.
Yeah.
That depends on what part of Brooklyn you're living in.
Okay, well, you don't want to live in Brownsville.
You do
So-
not want to live
I
in
am not
Brownsville.
talking about Brownsville. I'm talking about, say, if you live in Canarsie, if you live in Mill Basin, if you
Oh,
live
okay.
in Bay Ridge.
Well, I suppose
I suppose, but
that's like equivalent of living in Queens or
Yeah,
Long Island.
like deep.
It is.
Yes, that's true, but like that's true. But if
Yeah.
you're living in the city, if you're living in what the cool Brooklyn is,
if you want to be in the mix.
if you want to be in the mix and you want to be competitive, you need to make over six figures in your late 20s.
Yeah.
Flat out.
I'll give you that.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're poor.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're struggling. If you're not, you're broke. If you're not, it's just a lot of things you're not able to really maneuver with if that's what you're at.
Yeah.
And it sucks, but it's real.
It's real as hell and hella depressing. So let's transition to something a little lighter because I'm getting depressed about all this.
Why are you getting depressed?
Nah, it's just, it's sad when you love a city and you can't, you can't always meet the accommodations. It is what it is. Anyways, Devon, I kind of wanted you to run through like some new artists that you thought were up and coming. Like we haven't really had a chance to do that in some of our recent shows. Like our intro was actually Phil Ade. He's an artist out of DC, and it was his latest mixtape called ROSE, which is actually pretty dope. It's one of the best mixtapes I've heard this year. So it's a pretty good song. The mixtape has it's probably his best release to date. So y'all should definitely check it out. And the outro is by Shad. He's a Toronto artist who's also doing his thing. He, not very similar to Drake. He has his own niche, but he's also a very good rapper. So y'all check that out as well. Devon, what artists did you want to highlight as far as like, especially local NYC cats like up and coming doing their thing?
Dylan Cooper. That's the name that springs to mind. He is a dope MC. He's from Brooklyn. He's like 20, something like that. He has a mixtape called Cosmic.
I heard that. That was my joint.
It's really, yeah. He has this track. My favorite track off of that is a song called Kung Fu, which is just like just classic New York rhyming. People have compared him to Joey Badass. I don't think that's a fair comparison. That's just like. I think it's a lazy comparison.
I mean, I understand it. Like, it's old
but
school.
it's super... No, but it's so lazy.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he's young. He's obviously sounds like he's from New York. Oh, he has to be Joey Badass. Like, no. He's young and he raps like he's from New York. That doesn't mean he's Joey Badass. It just means he's a rapper who's from New York and sounds like it. That's a weird thing. Is that a new niche now? Like, there's only one guy that can sound like he's from New York and be from New York? No. And Joey's style tends to be more introspective raps, like thought stream of conscious, third eye mentioning sort of stuff. And Dylan Cooper is more he talks about his surrounding and his life story a lot more. Okay. His style is fun. Like, he's a really good MC. He has a lot of dope records. There's a lot of potential, and he can write a song, which Denver, we've talked about in the past. I can I did the rapidy rap dudes are cool until they can't write a record and I get bored. Like, he can write a song. I appreciate that. There's another artist I've been listening to out of Chicago. His name is Alex Wiley.
Yeah.
Chicago's produced an interesting collection of artists recently. Because everyone knows it for Chief Keef and the GBE and the OTF guys.
Yeah.
But Chance the Rapper is also from Chicago.
He is. And Chance and his annoying voice.
Oh my God. I thought I was the only one. Oh my God.
Chance and Danny Brown, I can't listen to them, man. Like, whatever they saying, man, I'm sure they saying some good stuff. I literally can't sit through a song by Chance.
Me neither. Oh my God.
Man,
I thought I just hated. Oh, I struggled. I was just like, I got the Acid Rap CD. I just keep thinking like, is there some way I can adjust the sound on this thing? Yeah. But I'm saying like Chicago's produced some interesting MCs, and he's another one. His name is Alex Wiley. he used to be part of like this local underground group. He sounded